One of the big issues that's probably been in the back of House Speaker Paul Ryan's mind when it comes to his relationship with Donald Trump is how to preserve the Republican Party's congressional majority. There have been suggestions that Trump on the ticket could be harmful for down-ballot races, and there's certainly concern on the Senate side. One of the vulnerable incumbent Republicans running for re-election is Senator Mark Kirk of Illinois. Back in July of last year, just a month after Trump announced his run for the presidency, Senator Kirk had a message for the candidate.
I would say one thing in Spanish, and there's a good Spanish word for cállate to Trump, which is shut up. In a typical Chicago way, to my Mexican-American friends, I would say, Donald Trump, cállate, shut up.
Kirk later said he would support the Republican nominee, even if it is Trump. However, since Trump has become the presumptive nominee, Kirk and his staff have been avoiding the subject. Quote, "We're not doing any Trump questions today," said a Kirk aide earlier this week. Nor were they answering any questions about Trump's visit to the Hill today. Joining me now, the person looking to unseat Senator Kirk in November, Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, Democratic candidate for Senate. Well, I guess my first question to you is, what does it mean to you that Trump is the presumptive nominee? Are you running against Donald Trump, or are you running against Mark Kirk?
Well, what Trump does for the down-ballot races like Mark Kirk is that he forces them to answer for many of the misogynist, sexist, racist comments that he's made, and he also highlights their own sexist, misogynist, and racist comments that they've made. Yeah, Mark Kirk has said that he'll support Donald Trump. He actually said that he would be a net positive. At the same time, he's running away from him, and he says he won't go to the Republican convention because he'll be doing his hair that week. But when Donald Trump says that he thinks that women would make equal pay as men if they would just perform as well, it reminds the voters on down-ballot races that Mark Kirk actually said that the equal pay legislation was the most sexist piece of legislation that he'd ever seen. So I think that Donald Trump is not good news for those down-ballot races on the Republican side, and it actually exposes how extreme much of the rhetoric is beyond Donald Trump himself and among these very candidates.
I want to ask you a question about something that Donald Trump has brought up on the trail a lot, and it's played in your race with Mark Kirk as well. You, of course, are a veteran. You served in Iraq. You also worked in the Department of Veteran Affairs. Donald Trump has these sweetening statements saying, we're going to be so good to the vets, just so good to them. There's been nothing, as far as I can tell, substantively around that. As someone who really knows this issue pretty well, what do you make of that?
Well, remember, this man wants to become commander-in-chief of the greatest military on the face of the earth. But this is also the man who said that John McCain was not a hero. And as a veteran, I am deeply offended that he would question John McCain's heroism simply because he was a prisoner of war. In fact, John McCain is a hero precisely because of how he conducted himself, the courage, the tenacity, the leadership he showed as a prisoner of war. And to be leading the greatest military on the face of the earth, and look at the men and women who will be put into harm's way, who may potentially become POWs, and say, sorry, if you become a POW, you're not a real hero, that's a problem. He's also said things like military sexual trauma is to be expected. Really? Our women in uniform are some of the most heroic women that our nation have. And to tell them that they should expect military sexual trauma, that's not acceptable. This is not acceptable behavior for a commander-in-chief. I don't see how a man who claims that he feels like he's a veteran because he spent time at a military prep school can really have any legitimacy. And Chris, you can look this up. I'm not someone who tolerates people who claim veteran status from military prep school attendance.
Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.